What's up, weaves? Welcome back to Anime Lane. As always, I'm your host, Shaun Notorious, and joining me once again today is Shaun.
What's up?
And Melina.
What is up, buddies?
I gave you a lead in there.
Woo! Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
So what are we doing, huh?
What we doing, huh?
We're talking about what we've been watching and stuff.
Yeah!
Oh
I love
my
watching
God.
stuff.
I don't like the energy already.
This was supposed to be the chill episode.
This is the last episode of the day. It's too hot and you guys are so active. And,
We're getting out of our system so that we can die when on the way back.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it's the usual thing where we occasionally check in and
yeah.
discuss what we've been
The fuck have we been doing?
Reading, playing. Though I'm the only one who's been reading stuff because these two don't fucking read.
I don't know what a literature is.
Fuck.
The closest I have ever gotten to literature in the last decade is playing Doki Doki Literature
Jesus
Club.
Christ. No, you played Ace Attorney. That's technically literature.
Is it really?
It's a visual novel.
I guess, but I don't want to classify it as literature.
I don't know if you would classify what I've been reading as literature either.
You've been reading actual fucking physical books.
Sure,
Yeah.
but
That's
I
literature.
think it counts. Yeah.
anyway, who's starting?
Oh god. I don't think I've been watching that much. I told you guys about like the rogue things. Like I watched Barbarella, which is so stupidly fun. And for some reason they think you care about the lore, so they keep lore dumping on you, and you're like, I'm just here to watch Jane Fonda. I'm sorry.
What do you mean you don't care about the lore? What's the lore?
There's a guy named Dildano, or no,
Whoa!
Donaldo.
One of
Or
these is
Dildano.
very different from the other.
Yeah.
One of them is very questionable for a 60s, 70s movie.
And if it's
a
the
very sexual movie.
And if it's the alternative thing, that it just sort of says a lot about your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess we'll never know.
No, we'll know.
Yeah. I recommend it. It's stupid. It's horny as hell. And they're sexualizing both men and women equally. And I gotta love that.
And you're A-okay with that.
Equality. That's what we need. That's what we need in this world.
Everyone should be sexy.
Yeah. And we should have a random angel appear and then be like, let's fly and get all the airplanes out of the
And
sky.
let's fly and get high.
Yeah.
It's the 60s.
I'm a blind angel.
What?
What?
Blind, yeah. He's
Why
also
did God do that to him?
blind. I don't remember.
Is he stupid?
No, he's in the maze of dum-dums.
He is stupid.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Recommend Barbarella if you want to have a laugh.
Get it on Blu-ray.
Get it on Blu-ray.
4K release when.
Yeah, like I've watched good stuff here and there, but I've just been busy with other stuff that I've just been kind of binge watching. House M.D.
House.
Yeah, no, every few years I need a medical show to obsess over. Just so I can it feels like I need to up my knowledge. Like I'm going back
I
to
don't
school.
think
So you're
gonna
watching
do it.
Back to
House?
school. Yes. I hadn't seen House before.
Okay, but it's not very educational.
Yeah.
No, but it helps with, the medical panic sometimes.
I
really don't know how.
I also don't know how. It's like me watching Air Crash Investigation. It helps me feel better about planes.
What?
Yeah.
You have a twisted...
I'm like, oh, if it's rattling, it's probably this, which means it's probably nothing. You're
You
fine.
have a twisted and backwards mind.
No, I don't think
No.
so. No. But it's
I can see you hyperventilating over there. Are you good?
I just don't know what to do with this information.
it's been so long since I watched like a procedural show that just kind of is problem of the week, problem of the day.
I do like how you said earlier that you saw it as like you need to up your knowledge, so you're watching House, and I'm just like, so just you sometimes just feel the need to watch General Hospital or something, or like ER.
Is it Grey's Anatomy?
Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, fucking course it is. That's not
I've not
teaching
seen
you
much.
anything.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised.
Oh, fuck off.
you're gonna come out with the most misinformed takes.
Yeah.
It's so fun to watch a procedural again after not doing that for ages. Because it's just kind of like so casual viewing. Love that. I also found out, I think the current generation knows a little too much about rabies. Because the second like some case popped up in House and she, like a lady had hydrophobia, I feel like we all would be like, rabies. No?
I don't know
I'm gonna
if
be
I
honest,
would.
I don't usually go to rabies.
If hydrophobia, if
What,
someone's...
like you're afraid of water?
Yeah.
Michael, do you have rabies?
No.
Like you
There you
cannot
go.
physically...
Wait,
cannot-
what?
You hate water?
Yeah, you don't drink it.
Oh no, I hate deep water.
Yeah.
That's different.
That's different.
I have a fear
Yeah.
of drowning. Like that's
okay.
not.
Rabies.
Go on!
Rabies.
I have a fear of deep water. I have some bad
Rabies.
No, it's the thought of like being underwater, not like
Yeah.
water itself. It's
Okay.
just in under any body of like
Yeah.
liquid. Like it could be
No,
anything.
exactly. I have the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why it's become
Rabies.
a common knowledge thing. Where like if you see a person that's just unable to drink water, just the body does not want it, you feel like panicked. It's the final stage of rabies.
I think this is a you thing.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna
shit.
be honest, there's a lot more signs of rabies before that.
Such as
The foaming of the mouth.
That's
The
after.
delirium. That's one of them, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
delirium.
that's pretty bad. Delirium can be so many things.
Okay, but you just said that like
It's a hydrophobia where
It's
I'm
the
like, it can
final
only be
stage.
one thing. According to me, the medical professional.
oh my god.
I feel like there are much more clear things to look out for
Yeah.
before it gets to that stage.
Yeah.
Also, maybe like a bite from a dog or something.
it
you
was
know?
a rat.
That's a
was
call.
A bite from an animal.
So yeah, no, I'm really liking House. I don't know. I love a shitty character. You know, I love someone because I keep seeing these memes because you guys know the Good Doctor, the cringe.
Yes. The autist.
Yeah. I feel like House is a better representation of autism and would beat the shit out of the Good Doctor with his cane
Yeah.
if he could. And that's what I'm living for, you know? Is it like...
I mean, if we're going by the level of the Good Doctor, Sheldon is a fucking better
Nice.
representation of autism than that fucking guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
that made me throw up a little.
Yeah. The bar's
If-
not high.
If
with the
Sheldon
Good
Cooper's
Doctor.
better...
Yeah.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Are there comments and things that really didn't age well? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Of course, you can't escape that with like any show.
Yeah, I feel like especially TV though. I don't know why TV is worse with it.
Because it's an encapsulation of the time in which it
Yeah.
was made. So it's like all of the things good and bad are gonna be like crystallized there and then. Which is why Friends is
Friends is mostly fine.
yeah, there's just, you know, some stuff.
Yeah,
that's-
there's just the occasional like stick out where it's like, oh no,
no,
what are
no,
you
no, no, no.
doing?
Let's not center. Oh, we're centering the entire episode. Okay.
Skip.
Yeah. Nah, I've been enjoying it. I'm just gonna race through it. I'm in season 3 already.
Nice.
So it's something I can watch at work. No, it's not my boss. No, I think I'm fine with that. Yeah, I've not been watching or doing much besides that, unfortunately. But I know you guys got a lot to talk about.
It's always the case that you're like, I haven't been watching, but you.
Well, the thing is, I watch things that you guys haven't seen, so it's like if I just
We
rant,
talk about shit you haven't done or played.
no, but
or...
at least both of you have seen or done that.
Yeah, we.
I'm about to talk about a book
thing
series
is-
neither of you.
No,
have read.
I get what she means. We typically have like because of our shared interests, we typically have more to bounce off of each
True,
other and
yeah,
like
I
make a
suppose.
discussion out of. Whereas Melina is typically the outlier of stuff,
Yeah.
so she's able to like.
And I get uncomfortable if it's just me talking for too long. I just
Yeah, you see, you're starting to realize why
Yeah.
you're always the more vocal in these episodes.
because like if,
No, but I actually get uncomfortable too. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I just do
you're
it.
able to suppress it to enough to
Yeah.
get a full episode out of it. When it's me and Melina,
I just start rambling and then I'm like, and that's really
for me, it
that's-
feels like it's try. When I try and do that, I end up. It feels like I'm unplugging like my entire stream of consciousness, and it feels like a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel even worse that we've been doing this podcast for 3 years, and I feel like I've done no better at talking.
But yeah, so Barbarella, go watch it.
Hell
Misery,
yeah.
go watch it.
Oh yeah, Misery. You didn't mention that.
Oh yeah.
Misery,
yeah, I've seen Misery.
It's fun. It's creepy. It's definitely based on a book, and you can tell kind of
Yeah.
the structure and all that. But it's definitely worth a watch.
Can you tell it's Stephen King just right off the bat?
Ooh.
Because he has a style. Also, now that I've said that, he's gonna appear in the people mentioned him under this fucking YouTube video. I realized that when I mentioned them in an earlier episode in this batch, and I was like, oh, fuck, there he is
I
again.
need to give the obligatory more like shit.
Make him a little bigger.
Why don't you think the Epstein files exist, King? Why?
Why?
Why is that?
Like,
Oh,
That's such an
wait.
odd thing to say.
Wait, hold on. He said that?
No, he legit quote tweeted
yeah.
saying like, "Oh, the Epstein files are as likely to exist as." I can't remember the exact comparison, but it was like Atlantis or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh.
what an odd thing to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's...
It kind of.
Wow, well,
yeah.
I respect him a lot less, even more now.
It kind of reminds me of this. I think it's a Tumblr post or a tweet or something of someone that was like, "How do I combat people that say the moon landing's fake? I just out conspiracy theory. I'm like, you believe in the moon,
Go
bitch?
even wilder. Epstein himself didn't exist.
Yeah,
He was a
he
robot.
was not a thing. That Epstein is not a thing.
Children aren't real.
Yeah. I mean, I think Misery kind of hit a sweet spot for me because it's about a writer. You know,
Yeah,
It's
that's
less.
true.
It's always the less supernatural stuff that's
Yeah.
always the better of his stuff.
yeah, and it works because it's just, you know, human insanity,
Mhm.
and that's as far as it goes. There's
Yeah.
no supernaturalist. It's just someone who's lost
Yeah,
it.
because it kind of loses itself in part 2.
Because that's where the alien stuff happens,
that
right?
that's
Yeah.
where like it becomes like really focused on like Pennywise and the kids going back to the town as
Yeah.
adults, and like in the book it's a lot weirder where it involves like a ritual with an immortal turtle type thing. Don't worry about it.
That whole
And-
section of the book, by the way, has now got a whole
Yes,
lot worse
yeah,
context
yeah.
now that we know that he said that about the fucking
Yeah.
Epstein list.
But in the movie the combat like Pennywise is like a giant spider thing. It's the second movie is the most
Strange.
disappointed I've ever been watching a movie in the cinema. But like Children of the Corn is very kind of like supernatural and very, very fucking boring. So like you're right, a lot of the sort of like more grounded
Yeah.
ones are his better.
Yeah.
Like Human Insanity or just like The Human Condition, like Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile.
The ones that feel the least like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, recommend it. It's not too creepy, Sean, so you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on my list.
It's more of a tension of, oh, don't do that, go back, no, don't do this.
Yeah, I think it falls more into like a psychological thriller.
A thriller,
than-
yeah, okay.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
proud to say I am getting like, since we started this podcast, weirdly enough, I've gotten a lot better at horror. So I feel like I'm pretty confident
Yeah.
to be able to handle that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's only I don't know how exactly what creeps me out at this point. I just
Yeah.
know it's like I'll know it when it happens.
I'll know it when I see it.
yeah.
Maybe I'll have something to say about it in November because it's
Ooh,
on my
that'd be
list to
fun.
watch for
Yeah.
October.
Definitely
The
recommend.
Weenathon. That is what I called it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Weenathon, yeah.
Weenathon, yeah.
My brain went
Not
Ween. No,
Weenathon.
my brain went Weenfest. And I was like, that sounds
No.
no.
No. I didn't know you were into that.
No, Weenathon 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of not much better when you say it in context now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, still doesn't have.
Don't think
Yeah,
about it. Don't think
I don't
about
know
it.
what the subtitle of this year's one's going to be, but we'll figure it out.
And the rest.
It's usually based on
Boo.
whatever I've been watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know on my list it's definitely Evil Dead this year.
Nice.
I want to get through them
Yeah.
because they hit the Resident Evil thing where like they're horror but then they become action,
Yeah.
and I like that whole thing of like once like you experience scary thing and then take power away from the scary thing by like blasting it in the face. That's why I like Resident Evil so
Yeah.
much.
Army of Darkness is so fucking good.
Hmm.
I haven't seen Evil Dead Rises. Rise? Evil Dead Rise? Evil Dead Rises? Whatever.
Is
Anyway,
it
not the
Evil
point.
Dead Lives that's like next?
I think that's the one that's filming right now, yeah.
Okay.
I like the remake. That was alright.
The remake is like a movie that I feel like I remember when it came out, but no one said anything about it. And then just in the last few years, it's like, oh, this is actually really good.
I think it got like a revisit because they did Rise, which is a sequel to the remake.
Okay.
So like it's like its own little timeline thing.
Okay. But it's like a soft reboot.
Yeah,
Because
like
I know Ash shows up like
yeah.
in like the post credits of the remake.
Evil Dead 2 is also like a soft reboot too.
Yeah, but I mean that was so early that it's basically
Yeah.
another start. Let's do this again.
I got some better ideas.
Yeah, I have new notes. Anyway,
Yeah, is that
I think that's all. I'm excited to hear about you guys talk about your shared thing. I don't know if you want to do that first.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's up to you guys.
Do
Because it's a
you
shoot.
have anything you wanna?
I mean, if you want me to talk about Cyberpunk again.
We've already done an episode of Cyberpunk.
But it's
Not another one.
It's Cyberpunk. I love it so much. I got nothing really new to add to that,
Okay.
other than just I made a new character, and my whole point was I wanted her to just be a fucking mess. Like, just make the wrong decisions, just go completely opposite of what I did, and then I cut that playthrough early because I was like, I'm not having fun.
Yeah.
Like, the most fun part of that character was that I made her like the overly OP like blades build with the Sandevistan, and that is very powerful. Probably the best way to inflict damage in the game.
Yeah.
When you build it up right. It's fucking boring after a while.
Yeah.
Because there's only one. It's basically like playing Edge Runners, in that David just hits the Sandevistan button and wins.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I always play like a. I don't think you can call it the gunslinger build, but like a jack of all trades build.
Yeah.
Where I use
I took a
guns.
brief scan of your build basically when you did the Switch 2, and I don't know if that's your typical build.
That one's not great.
Bonk.
What
That
bonks?
was your
Is
ball.
that my juice?
The Iron Brew bottle has fallen over.
Another
This is
brew bottle's
Scottish
hit the
9/11.
floor.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's not the same as my typical build. Like, if you probably pulled up.
A second ball has hit the bottle.
This bottle is determined to just not stand up.
No, just give it to me. I'll hold on.
No.
Don't put it
Dude,
there.
it's not gonna happen.
Don't just hold it.
You got it. Okay, he's just put it in between his legs now.
Just hold it like a babe.
Yeah.
Thing is, I'm not done with this yet. So, anyway, I think if you probably booted up my like save from when I played it on PC, because obviously cross saves and stuff, it would probably be like a different, slightly different build, but it has the same idea, like same focus on that. Like, I use a pistol.
A pistol?
A pistol.
A pistol for Ween Fist.
I use a silenced pistol, an assault rifle, and Rebecca's shotgun.
Which is fair.
Best shotgun in the game.
Very versatile.
Yeah, and then I also have like a net running build too, or like I have net running skills.
Yeah. Good to have.
Yeah, because I like stealth, and stealth is sucky in Cyberpunk if you're not doing some kind of net running.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely
really hard.
At the very least, you need to turn off the cameras.
Yeah. So like that you can kind of do okay if you, but I like having skills for that. Like in terms of I like having, it's not short circuit. System collapse and synapse burnout, because those are pretty good like one-shot kills.
Synapse burnout is basically the best hack in the game for just how, for the balance of damage and how like cheap it is to use. I also do like suicide. But
I
that's
love suicide,
but that's a way to. That's a great thing to say.
I just love.
I fucking love suicide.
Yeah, I think underrated, underexplored.
For context,
there's a quick hack in Cyberpunk called suicide, where if you
can
target
guess
an
what it does.
enemy, they will just commit suicide.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yes.
I could just imagine. So if you're losing a battle, what you can do is choose to commit
Genuinely.
suicide.
No, genuinely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can use quick hacks at any point.
Yeah.
So if you're fighting someone, you're just like, I can't be bothered.
The most powerful I have ever felt in all of Cyberpunk was not the Blades build, but it was actually my pure Netrunner build. I made her like just go to it was one of the gigs that Regina gives you where you have to specifically assassinate like a Tiger Claws boss or whatever, and like what I did with like my Netrunner is I made her go into a corner and so she could see like the camera outside the building, hack into that, switch into the room where the boss is, make him commit suicide, and then just walk away.
Yeah.
I've never felt more fucking powerful.
I did something similar where I went on the roof and you can like see into the room through some grating, and I just system collapsed everyone and was like, I'm done.
Everybody collapses.
Yeah, anyone that was on that floor, because as soon as he dropped, they like not spotted me, but like became alert.
Yeah.
So like
What's this guy just done?
Yeah.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Just
Go to
got
sleep.
everyone else and was like, I'm just gonna go over the roof and then down, and we're done.
I felt like a god.
I remember using it on like my pre 2.0 playthrough where it worked a little bit differently, at least in terms of like how net running worked differently in general, and like it was fun, but you could not use it as often because I think it was just a quick hack that consistently had a thing where like the more you used it in a mission, the more expensive it would be to use, even if it's a different target.
Got like gradually building up. Yeah. I'm trying to like think of like my at this point it's hard to remember my pre 2.0 like build, because like the game was very different back then.
100%.
Like the whole like I remember I think at some point I was basically just picking random perks back then. I really like the noob system that they've done. I'm trying not to talk too much about this.
I love the new system. I have some issues with it. I wish net running worked how it used to work with the new perks. And I wish they didn't level scale the skill checks. I think that's dumb, especially dialogue skill checks as well. That's so stupid, because the game's sort of been redesigned to not be like in so pre 2.0, like everything on the map had like a danger level attached to it, and it would go from like safe to like challenging to then like dangerous or something like that. And so it had like a scaling of like the game would be less, not less challenging, but you could do more challenging things as you progress the game. Whereas now in 2.0, nothing has that. You can just tackle the game in any way you want at any time with anything as soon as the open world is unlocked.
I will say 2.0 has definitely made the game feel a lot easier. Yeah,
I just wish that level scaling doesn't need to be completely gone. Just tweaked a little bit.
Yeah, and this is on my last few playthroughs. I've actually played on hard.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and the thing about hard is that like it feels challenging at first when you're a bit under level, but once you hit level 15 to 20, the game becomes very. You figure out what you're doing at that point, and like the game becomes sort of simple because you've got enough perks and skills at that point to just play through very easily. Yeah. I am tempted by very hard, but I also at a certain point do want fun.
Yeah. I think they could have readjusted the level cap as well. I think they should have had like an option of like maybe until you've played the last mission there is a hard cap, but then maybe like a softer cap once you've completed at least one ending. Yeah. So that you can get everything up to level 20 if you want. Yeah. Because I did install a mod for that on the PC. I did also install a mod that removed it rebalanced the skill checks. Okay. Stuff like that. So playing it on Switch, I'm like getting that whole like
welcome to my world again.
Yeah, because when I did play it on PC, I was playing it post 2.0 and like maybe played like 10 hours and went, I need to do something about this.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, I feel like it works when you're like specifically putting all your attribute points into one thing, which if you're going for a specific build like you've already pre-planned in your head, then fine enough, especially if that build is a lot of reflex and a lot of like technical ability and stuff. But if it's like, if you're just trying to like play the game and just see what you're feeling like in that playthrough, then you're kind of fucked for a lot of the checks for like your level. I
find it really dumb that like doors just don't have like a consistent force open like level, that it constantly feels like you'll eventually run across ones that are like 20 and it's like, okay, I'm not gonna get 20 attribute points and this, so I'm never gonna be able to force open this door when I have gorilla arms on. Okay, like it doesn't make sense in that that aspect.
Especially I'm never gonna get over the fact that like I think it was my second or third playthrough where like I wanted to get the Delamain quest with like the intelligence skill check option, which you know feels like, you know, the best of both worlds sort of option, and I was 1 point off.
Yep.
So I reloaded a save, leveled up, put another attribute in it, still one attribute off.
Oh.
I was just permanently fucked.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
That quest is why I installed that mod, because neither playthrough, I've never had the amount of intelligence needed.
I've still not had it since.
Yeah.
Too dumb, bitch.
It's not that. It's like you'll have like 13 in it, but the
Yeah.
level you're doing the quest at, it's like you'll need 15.
Like you put in all that time to put in all the attributes, but by the time you get to the mission when you naturally want to do it, it's still not high enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're just sort of fucked.
It's this weird thing where like if you don't have enough skills, almost like it feels like from the start, if you haven't picked, because you get so many skill points to put in when you start your character, like a D&D game.
Yeah.
Helps that it was very much based on a tabletop game originally.
So you put in these attributes, and it almost feels like now the way the game works, no matter what you do, if you haven't put the skill points in at that point when you're creating your character, you're just never gonna be able to hit
that mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
because it always keeps shifting it away from you the more you level up. It's why I keep saying like I wish they didn't put in level scaling, because it's scaling every time you level up.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just means that if you haven't made the right character at the start of the game,
Yeah, like if you haven't
That's
had that
insane.
vision right from the start, which you're not going to do on your first playthrough, maybe
No.
even your second playthrough.
Exactly.
Again, I only started doing character specific builds on like just to try them out on my third playthrough. And the only one I've really wanted to try has been net running.
Yeah. It doesn't help that like some builds aren't conducive to the early game.
No.
Net running's not great to do at the start.
Yeah, I had that problem. I still had to. I say she's a pure net runner. I still put like the leftover skills I had all the way up to fully upgrading my pistols and like revolvers, which I could still do because she was net running / stealth.
Yeah.
Her whole thing, she ended up basically becoming a tech ninja. Lover. But because all the stealth points were put into cool, it means I was still able to get all like the pistol perks because all the pistol stuff is put into stealth.
Yeah.
But what it basically meant is that if she couldn't hack you, she'd dome you right in the fucking head with a revolver. She's like, for fuck's sake, fine, I'll just kill you. Can't say I didn't try, fucker. But yeah, it basically means that like I had to rely on that early in the net running game until I hit like overclock.
Yeah.
Is the specific skill, which basically you hit a button and it turns your health into more RAM or mana, basically to like translate it, and it basically meant I could force every other enemy to kill each other instead of me having to kill them.
Oh
There's also the fact that like a lot of the quick hacks are like blue and above.
Yeah.
And you need that specific one to use. You need that specific cyber deck level to use that quick hack. You can't use it on a lower cyber deck.
And each cyber deck, there's like builds within the net running build as well, because like each cyber deck is for a specific play style. Like I always pick the Arasaka cyber deck because that lowers tracing, which makes stealth so much easier if you want to use quick hacks, and quick hacks are how stealth is basically how I use them.
Yeah.
So, but there's also like the net watch one you get pretty late on, which incentivizes using them through cameras and stuff. There's the Militech one that puts more combat like focus onto it, and like there's a whole meta game to the whole thing that like I've watched multiple videos on like how to do it right, and I still feel like at the end of the day I just want to blast people or just stealth through it.
Yeah, I almost feel like they in 2.0 rebalanced it to be closer to TTRPG. And as much as I think TTRPGs are cool, we've not really had a chance to play any, but
one day
I think the mechanics of TTRPGs work for TTRPGs. I don't think they work for video games.
Yeah.
yes, titty roll games.
They probably do exist.
Yeah,
is the thing. Tabletop RPG.
okay.
Do you know what TTRPG actually stands for?
I just
I
told
know
her.
role-playing game.
Tabletop.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't know the
D&D.
TT in front of it. I wasn't sure if it was that.
I think it used
I
to
like
be
the idea
called-
that we've been talking about this for like, what, 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes now, and you've just been thinking, oh yeah, so in the titty RPG game.
Yeah.
It's just God, I was like, wait, I don't know what this means.
I feel kind of uncomfortable,
Wait
guys.
a second.
I think they used to be just called pen and paper games.
Yeah.
But now that they've
Yeah.
evolved into multiple different things, they're
Yeah.
called TTRPGs.
Again,
I wish.
or if you're Smosh, you just get a fucking Jenga tower
Yeah.
and play it through that,
Yeah.
which is really fun actually.
Yeah, that's Cyberpunk, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you wanna.
No, not really. I can't think of anything else I really want to talk about other than the obvious one that we're both sort of watching.
Yeah.
The truth is somewhere over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust
Somewhere.
some people.
Trust Scully.
Trust someone, but not them.
Yeah, but don't blindly trust people.
No. Like, think.
Yeah. Don't be a sheep.
No.
Use your brain.
Yeah.
Oh, you could never make X-Files now.
No. Because so many of the wrong people think they're Mulder and Scully without
Yeah.
realizing they are
No.
Nazis.
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
No, actually, no. I say that there are actually like old Nazis in the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole thing.
Yep.
They just have different ideologies.
Oh,
Honest-
no, they help like
They were full on.
Yeah.
alien.
Well, like,
I don't know. It's weird. I don't know yet.
I haven't gotten too far in it, so as far as I know, they're basically just like old Nazis. Like because of the time frame of the show, it's still like the 90s, so they're from Operation Paperclip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they literally meet an old retired Nazi and like tending a garden somewhere in the Midwest or something.
Yeah. It looks rainy, so it looks like Vancouver, like usual.
Yeah. It's always
Classic.
like
Yeah.
it's always Vancouver. I was gonna say Vancouver, US joke, but that's not actually a great joke to make nowadays.
No.
Fuck you.
I'm not
Trump.
looking forward to when it suddenly shifts to filming in LA because it's gonna, I think, ruin the look of the show.
Yeah.
Show has a really specific look because of where it films.
Yeah.
And it's like it's cloudy or rainy or like
Or it's the middle of the night.
middle of the night or like a more neutral sort of atmosphere that means you can craft it how you want
Yeah.
it to look.
You can make it every town.
LA's LA.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can fucking tell the
You got
second
one
of
setting for LA and that's
Yeah.
fucking sunny.
it. Yeah.
Almost Breaking Bad level of
Yeah.
sun.
You get sun or night.
Yep.
And if you're very lucky, sun and dark.
But what about a little sizzle of rain? Like
No.
a tiny little bit.
And what's your vistas? Desert everywhere.
I hope they don't bring back the Native American
Oh.
stuff. That felt like it was done not so great. I liked the characters themselves.
Yeah, those were
The old guy was cool as fuck.
He was a G.
I love Albert.
Shut up.
But the whole way they dealt with like, okay, actually I should give context on where I actually am
Yeah.
in X-Files because I've not finished it.
No, neither have I.
Yeah. I am near the start of season 3. About 5 episodes in.
Yeah. What was the last episode you watched?
It was the first Monster of the Week after the two. No, the first or second Monster of the Week after the 3-parter. The list. It was the one in the prison.
Oh yeah, you're on at like episode 5 or 6 then.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. I'm halfway through season 3. I'm on like episode 12, I think.
I appreciate you slowing down a little bit for me.
Yeah. It's just sometimes it's not like a massively bingeable show.
No.
So like I binged a lot of it because I was getting back into it and I had that like
You had to catch up to me.
that verve to watch it. Like I was enjoying it, but then like the Monster of the Week and the like
yeah.
it starts to wear a little bit if you're watching too much of it at the one time. So like I've found like a different
Can't relate.
pace now.
Yeah.
I think you would feel it if you were watching the X-Files.
Maybe. Maybe after
Although
House.
your brain works very differently from us as we
Yeah.
know, so maybe you'd fucking love it.
Yeah, maybe I just
Because it's like different from watching like a procedural to binge it, like say CSI or House or whatever. Like I think it's a different like
Vibe?
structure
Oh,
to the
structure,
episodes
yeah.
and stuff.
It's almost like a bit like how Buffy or classic Doctor Who did their
Yeah.
Monsters of the Week, where like each episode is their own contained story, but there is an overarching thing.
You've seen Supernatural.
Yes, I
They
have.
just completely ripped the X-Files formula.
Oh, where it's like there's a thing that's happening over the season, but some episodes we're going to elect to ignore it.
Yes. So it's literally that in the X-Files they're called myth arc episodes. Those are ones that relate to the main story and lore. Yeah. And then you've got Monster of the Week. It's I cannot stress enough how much Supernatural just copied the X-Files as homework.
Oh yeah.
No. No.
You leave my boys alone. That show is also so Canada coded weirdly.
Oh yeah, any show that shoots in Canada has like a certain look and feel.
The essence of Canada just seeps into it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, just early season 3, so I'm not like too far overall into the show, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, same.
Season 1 was very much the getting our footing episode.
Yeah,
season.
there's some really strong episodes, and I kind of wish they would do something like what they did in season 1, where you had the episode with the guy who could like become real thin and stretchy.
Yeah.
And then
Mr. Fantastic.
Oh my god!
Then he came.
Reed Richards, what are you doing here?
But he was also like a lizard guy too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
And then there was another episode where he came back later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. The wolf man.
Was he a wolf man?
He was kind of a wolf man.
I don't know. He made like a nest from like bile and.
Yeah, but like they were clearly going with like a half sort of werewolf sort of thing with them.
I got more of a like a lizard vibe.
Stretchy wolf man.
Yeah.
Stretch Wolfman Lizard.
Yeah,
Lizard.
he would like feed on like 5 people and then like come back every
3 decades.
3 decades, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then like he got captured at the end of that episode, and then like near the end of the season there was another episode that came back where he got released from prison because they're like, he's not a danger to society.
Oh, the man that keeps eating
And
people?
then he became a danger to society
Yeah,
again.
there was this whole
no.
plot. If I remember right, there was this whole plot in that episode where like the guy overlooking was like, I don't believe that he could possibly be a danger to society. He's always kind to me.
And that's how it works. you know?
Yes, of course.
He wouldn't eat me.
And he talked exactly like this. Yes.
I'd be interested to see something like that, where like a thing or story,
a
idea.
mini a subplot. I think I sort of get that, but the thing with season 1 is that it left almost every episode open for something like that, and it only followed up on one, which I'm gonna be honest, and maybe I've just gotten used to it over time, but like it just feels annoying when they very clearly leave an episode story open and then just when you know that there's a good chance they're never going to come back to it.
Yeah, I think it's that it's unfortunately the thing they want to do for the X-Files, if only because they want to have it be like, well, maybe it was aliens. Maybe it was a ghost. Maybe the guy didn't die in the first place. Like they want to leave it so that it is,
there's a mystery.
Yeah, like because the weird thing is that like Mulder will always see something.
Yeah.
And then Scully will fucking, for some reason, miss it.
No.
She won't be present. Or she'll see it and then Mulder won't see it.
Yeah. No,
or sometimes she will see it and she'll still go, there's got to be some sort of scientific explanation for this.
Big glowing orb. Like,
shit, yes!
No, genuinely, there's an episode where they break into a fucking airbase and see this giant flying bit of light that doesn't move like any plane that we have, or helicopter or anything. She's like, I'm sure there's a perfectly scientific explanation for this.
The most you could get out of her is, I don't know what I saw. It could be anything. And it's like, Scully! Fucking read the room.
She gets captured in season 2, is experimented on, and she like disappears for fun. Like
it happens to Mulder in one episode of season 1.
But like she disappears for all this time, has a near-death experience, comes back, and then is like, I'm sure there's a perfectly rational explanation for this.
My favorite one so far has been like, I think it was in the list actually, or something. One of the episodes like it where they're talking about like the sort of beliefs that like the people have, and she's no, it's not that. It's like it's something to do with like Christianity and whatever, and she's like, well, there's no reason I could believe this. Is this one you watched?
Yes, this episode.
It might be I don't think I think it's one you talked about, but I don't think I've gotten to it.
I don't think you've gotten to it yet because it's a little bit further ahead of where you are. There's an episode where Fuck, hold on. I need to bring up the episode list so that I remember the actual...
The basic gist from what I understood was that, like, Scully sees something, like, but that seems as outlandish as everything else, but the twist is it seems sort of Christian-like or holy, like, so she's like, what if it is a holy man? What if it is like some sort of like
sees full-on Jesus on a cross and like, this has got to mean something, guys.
Yeah, the thing is that, like, it seems like she's very much dismissive of any other sort of supernatural belief except for the one she grew up with.
Of course.
So the plot of the episode is that there's like a string of religious killings of people who are what is known as stigmata, where they have like the wounds of Jesus on the cross manifest, and like most of them are, you know, insane super church preachers that just do it for the money and attention.
No.
And so they get killed, but then like one of them actually is, by the logic of this episode, I guess it's real, it happens. He's a kid, and they like show up, and like it's the one thing where like Scully's like, no, I think I might believe this. I don't have an explanation. I think this man's a saint. He died and he smells like flowers. And I'm like,
that's it.
Whoa! What?
It's completely the opposite of what it is. And the implication is probably supposed to be that, like, oh, Scully is super close, like, super, like, focused on, like, the scientific rational stuff until it comes to her faith.
Yeah.
Which is her weak spot. But it comes off more like, I believe only mine are correct and everything else is just false.
Because it's such a character shift, because up until that point, she does have a cross necklace.
Yeah, that is built up.
Yeah, that's mentioned in season 1. It's given to Mulder during season 2 when she's disappeared. But like up until that point, the only impression we've been given about her owning that is that she owns it for sentimental reasons. And now suddenly she's going full swinging, practicing Christian, and at the end of the episode goes to confession. And I'm like, what? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What is this?
And like, it was built up not just from what you said, but when she got like that near-death experience, there was that whole thing where like, in her own mind, it's, like the implications that she might be like dying. She sees herself on like this rowboat in the middle of like an empty lake, and there's like a light on the other
don't go to
or like a person like white clothing. I think
there's like a nurse figure who like coaches her back to life, and then she's like, oh, I want to thank this nurse, and they're like, that nurse doesn't exist.
And the implication is meant to be either alien or angel.
I sooner believe the alien part.
I believe the alien part, but it feels like the episode wants us to think angel.
Yeah, I think it says more about me that the angel part never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
That's an alien if I've ever seen one.
It doesn't help that like her sister appears in that episode for like, the first time, and she's very much into the spiritualist stuff.
Well,
and she gets fucking domed.
Don't get attached.
Yeah.
It's so funny. There's like a brief moment where she first appears after Scully gets kidnapped, that like they sort of almost like make her a love interest for Mulder.
Oh god.
Which was the plan, by the way, I found out.
No.
And then they quickly rewrote it.
Yeah, because that's a terrible idea.
They had that one scene where like there was remote interest from either of them, and fans went, fuck off.
Absolutely not. Go fuck yourself.
I love when you have that one episode in a show where it's like hinted, and you can tell people hated it because it never comes up again.
Because the whole show has been more about like Mulder and Scully sort of almost not will they, won't they, but like there's something.
It's a very subtly growing thing as they get closer, because the main premise of the pilot episode is that Scully has been sent to Mulder with who's been overseeing the X-Files, which is the unexplainable sort of more out there stuff, and like obviously Mulder with his character fully into it, fully wants to believe.
Spooky Mulder.
What?
Spooky Mulder.
Yeah, Spooky Mulder.
Yeah.
And Scully's been sent there to like, okay, can you just like keep
You're being insane.
What?
To kind of talk her down.
You know, talk him down. Just be like, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, she's meant to report on the things he does, because that's the framing of season 1. Is like usually the episode ends with her writing a report about what happened and her belief versus what Mulder believes and the evidence and stuff.
It kind of feels like what the FBI are trying to find a way to kick Mulder out.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of cramping their style.
But then Mitch Pileggi's character, who is their boss, whose name I actually forget the character. Skinner, thank you.
I try not to call him principal.
Yeah, he's like a ardent defender of Mulder, as we come to find out.
Because Mulder is a good agent.
Yeah, he's not. The unfortunate thing is they didn't really cast Skinner until the end of season 1.
No.
Which means the FBI just seems hell-bent on firing him.
Yeah.
And we're kind of not sure why he's not being fired yet.
Yeah.
But it turns out, you know, Skinner, who we meet at the end of season 1, is like a pretty ardent defender.
Yeah, like gives him his fair shake, and it's like, well, you still get the results. It's not like the most satisfactory results, but it's still results. You still do good work.
I actually think Skinner's my favorite character in the show so far because he is the biggest ally to Mulder and Scully, whether it is in their favor or not.
Yes.
He will do whatever it takes to support them, but sometimes that support seems like he's going against them. Like he will do the thing that gets them in trouble, but that's only because he knows it's the thing that needs to happen.
I get the idea that he does that because he needs to work the gears, or at least because he is the assistant director of the FBI. That is his position, so he needs to at some point play ball, work to keep himself in the position so he can be the most beneficial. He's smart.
You know, there was an episode of House where Kit thought he was getting kidnapped by aliens.
Wow.
Yeah, it turns out he absorbed his twin in the womb, and that twin became a tumor that was pressing on the gland in the brain that causes hallucinations.
This is kind of sort of one of the episodes.
There was also rectal bleeding at some point, but I don't remember what that caused.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they opened the episode with this kid thinks he's being abducted by aliens and rectal bleeding. I'm like, you're pointing at stuff that I don't want to see.
Yeah. But that is sort of one of the episodes where they go to like a sort of ex-carnival society, and the antagonist of that episode is someone who absorbed their twin in the womb. But what happened is it mutated into this weird creature that just goes out of him sometimes and eats people.
Oh, yeah, that's different.
Yeah,
I love that episode because it's got
fun as hell.
The guy.
It is.
It's got the guy who was in Twin Peaks. Who in Twin Peaks you only see him in like the backward speaking place.
Oh, okay.
But in X-Files he plays like the guy who's just constantly fucking with Mulder whenever Mulder asks him a question.
Well, that's good casting.
Yeah, it's so funny because like he's like he'll just ask like a question about like, oh, you know, what's life like here, or have you been in this business for, and it's like, what, so you're, because I'm a short person, you assume that I'm, and then he'll get to the end of this long spiel and go, yeah, I've been doing this for like my whole life.
Well, yeah, you're correct, but like, fuck you.
You're correct in your assumptions.
How fucking dare you assume that, yes, I've been here for 17 years.
Yeah. But fuck you for thinking that, like, first off, though, even though the evidence clearly shows. That guy's great. Love him.
Because he's like, I have a degree, and Mulder says something about it being in hospitality. He's like, why would you assume that? Why would you think that? He's like, yes, it is a hospitality degree. That's why I run this hotel.
But I don't like that you assumed that. It could have been a doctorate.
Yeah, a doctorate in hospitality. It's rare, but I think it exists.
He was my favorite part of that episode.
Yeah. Everyone in that episode was great.
Oh, everyone in that episode was really good.
I want to go back there.
Take me back.
Yeah. But like, yeah, to go back to season 1 for a second, Scully's supposed to be trying to like rein him in.
Yeah.
And like, really, what she's trying to do, what they want her to do is find a way to get him fired.
Yeah.
But Mulder is so likable.
Yeah.
That they gain a friendship.
Oh.
And they grow really close. That at the point where I'm at in season 3, it feels like, is there an underlying thing there now?
I don't think that comes in for a while.
Yeah, I know that does come in eventually.
Yeah.
But it feels like they are slowly building it up, and I do like that it's a very natural sort of colleagues to friendship.
Yeah.
To very close friendship.
Yeah, I like the episode where you haven't got to it yet, but there's one where Mulder's in the field. He's investigating like a town where there's like cockroaches killing people.
As they do.
But like Scully's at home, and like he keeps calling her up whenever he gets to a murder, and he's like, oh, you should come down, I found this thing. And so he calls her up the first time, and he's like, I've got a guy who's being killed by cockroaches, and she's like, I won't ask if you said what you just said because I know what you just said is what you said.
Yeah.
And I'm like that. I want to know how long it took how many takes that took to deliver. But it's also like a testament to like where they're at as colleagues and friends. And like every time he calls her up during that episode, it's basically like, oh, you know, if you check this, like there's a guy who dies in like the toilets and they see cockroaches but they don't get any, and so he calls her up and she's like, you should come down. Guy who died, cockroaches again, he was in the bathroom. Oh, check his eyes. If one of them's like dilated with like a blood vessel bursting it, it means he was forcing it too hard when he was trying to shit. She's like, most common form of death in the bathroom. And
he's not wrong.
So he's like going through it in the field, all these deaths, all these cockroaches and all this shit, and she just sitting at home reading about eating dinner, eating ice cream on the internet.
Why don't you just call her up?
Why don't you just call Scully up?
And then
call Scully up?
She gets into town. And one of the best unscripted things happens because she walks into a gas station and someone just crashed their car.
Oh.
It was like behind her and it wasn't scripted, didn't mean to happen, and she just played it off and walked in, and I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, you know when magic like that happens?
I think I've seen the scene.
Yeah, it's like one of the most famous like moments.
Accidental. Yeah, I've seen it.
I can't wait to see that because I don't think I have yet.
Oh wow, it's I find it so funny.
I do remember you sending me like the pictures of like Scully just like casually in the room, and then like Mulder, and it's like the SpongeBob and like the Silent Hill 2 hall, just like. Oh.
Then he gets another love interest in that episode.
Of course he does.
Called Bambi.
Oh.
Mulder gets so many love interests. It's insane.
She goes for the guy in the wheelchair at the end though.
Good for the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Remember the time Mulder fucked a vampire?
Oh yeah.
What in the supernatural? Do they? Yeah, probably.
Probably.
I mean, probably, yeah.
Isn't one of their girlfriends like the she-devil or something like that?
Lilith.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Yeah.
Probably.
Anyway.
Mulder fucked a vampire.
Mulder fucked a vampire.
And like that's never come up ever again.
No.
That whole episode is hilarious because I think it just ends with burn him.
Yeah.
Burn him.
Have you tried
burning him? Why don't you just burn Taylor up?
Burn her up.
No shade to Taylor Swift.
All the shade to Taylor Swift.
Hey.
I think we'd lose our very, very prominent white girl audience.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep him at peace here, and you guys are ruining it.
If there's no Taylor haters left, I am dead.
Wow. I didn't know you felt so strongly about this.
I really don't like her. Anyway.
And now she's going to be mentioned in the mention.
Yeah,
she will be in the people mentioned section.
Taylor!
What an array of people that's going to be for this episode.
Hold on. We haven't gotten Colin Baker yet.
Oh, God.
There he is.
So now we got Stephen King, Gillian Anderson, David Duchovny,
Albert Einstein, just
Taylor
to mix
Swift,
it up.
Colin Baker, Albert Einstein,
Hugh Laurie,
Ayn Rand. Fuck it, why not? Ayn Rand.
I don't want her here. Please, not here. Please, nowhere. Only
you know
when
it's
I'm
gonna come. It's gonna happen.
the Pope.
Which Pope?
Which one?
Oh,
The one from the end of Conclave?
any Pope. Any Pope. Will
John Paul II.
Franciscus. There's probably one of them, right?
Franciscus?
Yeah.
You mean Francis?
We call him Franciscus, I think.
Well, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's probably Francesco and
I mean, it depends on Latin. And
yeah, that's true.
What do they know? They're only the place where it's born.
They don't know shit.
It's only the home of Catholicism. What do they know?
Yeah, they wouldn't know shit.
Jesus.
But yeah, X-Files is good.
I
I'm
like
enjoying
X-Files,
it.
yeah.
I wonder how the revival stuff's gonna be.
Yeah,
whenever I get there.
Since you told me that, like, Mulder's actor.
Oh, David Duchovny.
Yeah, he doesn't appear in the last, like, season.
Yeah, I think he's like in half of season 7, and then he's not in season 8, or whatever the second last and then last season is.
How does that work?
I don't know. I know the last season is Scully trying to find Mulder. I don't know. I think if I guess this is a slight spoiler, but for season 7, I believe Mulder is like a rogue agent or something.
Okay. About fucking time.
In real life, it's because he was pissed off at Fox for doing what's it called, a sweet deal with their own networks to run it for nothing, which means they weren't getting royalties, and so he was suing them over that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, understandable. Maybe don't move the whole production to LA just because your wife's there, though. Yeah.
Like, he also did that, so,
you know,
swings and roundabouts.
that's a new way to put it, yeah.
Aliens and angels.
Aliens and alien. I like X-Files. I can't wait to see more. Remember the time they were on a ship that just aged them?
Oh yeah, that was a weird episode.
That was a freaky one.
Remember the time?
Hey, Lois.
I'm not gonna start that. I'm not
Till
starting.
like Lois Griffin is in the character thing underneath
Hey,
us.
Lois. Well,
Hey,
Seth
Peter.
MacFarlane, get on the list while we're at it.
Hey, Lois. This is just like the time that Chernobyl mutant hunted people in the sewer.
That's a genuinely good episode, though.
How did he get from Chernobyl?
He was on a Russian ship.
Okay,
And
never mind.
then,
That's
yeah.
good.
He hid in the tanks.
Yep.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and the toilet
radioactive
tanks.
tanks?
Yes.
Yeah, the poopy tank.
The poopy tanks.
He's a freaky looking fuck.
Oh yeah, genuinely one of the best designs so far because it's so fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Genuinely like
Nice.
a terrifying design.
What if I can get it up and give you nightmares?
It's probably
Yeah,
still on my
fine.
phone.
You make sure you look at it before you sleep every
Yeah,
night, just to be
yeah.
prepared
Yeah.
for your sleep
Kiss the screen
paralysis,
goodnight.
team. I'll see you in my dreams.
Yeah. One day you'll come back in another
Come
episode.
back and we'll have a grand old time. So nice.
I think I'm too far back for this. Yeah, 'cause I'm in May.
Oh, that's not what I expected at all. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so funky.
Look at this
That's
fucker.
cool. No, I like it. It's better than I thought it
Yeah.
would be. I thought it would be more like black goo,
Mm-hmm.
but this is
Maybe if it was
I don't
season
want to
one.
say
Yeah.
more realistic because I wouldn't fucking know. But this is what I would think maybe.
I mean,
I've encountered multiple mutants in my time. It's very realistic.
Yeah.
in terms of what like radiation does to you, yeah,
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Sure.
without like the skin peeling off and blood vessels bursting open and stuff like that,
Yeah,
Or you
yeah,
dying.
and you dying.
And the
Yeah,
death part, but who
Yeah.
cares about the death part? That's fine.
yeah.
It does sound like an interesting show that I would watch at some
Yeah,
point.
I genuinely think you'd love it.
Yeah,
I think it's just
I
it's like all American shows. It's kind of long.
it's a
Yeah.
commitment. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're looking for a commitment.
I'm currently committed to House.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I just have to get through it now. I'm there. I'm there for time.
You've started, now
It's
you gotta
push out.
finish.
Yeah.
Mm.
Unfortunately, that's how we go.
Good
Maybe
luck.
a tiny show in between.
Yeah.
but No, not much.
Okay, I guess it's me. My turn.
Go.
Okay, so I guess if anyone remembers the last episode we did on this. No, maybe the one before that.
I don't remember.
You think people listen to these episodes?
Wow.
I mean,
Hold
no, they
the
do.
fear.
They don't do like bad numbers.
We have dedicated listeners.
Like for us, yeah.
So I talked about you will remember the episode Court of Clapping Cheeks
Of course we do.
where I discussed
Get sweating.
Sarah J. Maas's A Court of Thorns and Roses book series. And I just finished literally like 5 days ago the Throne of Glass books. And that's another Sarah J. Maas series. I liked Akatar enough that I was like, I'll just read the rest of her stuff. So I've just got Crescent City left. And so I have read Throne of Glass, which was a journey because it's a lot longer than Akatar is right now. Akatar's unfinished, but it's going in a bit of a different direction from where like Throne of Glass is like one big story start to finish. Akatar's sort of like weaving around. It is building another story out at the end of the third book, but it's still sort of like taking perspective of different characters, whereas Throne of Glass, it's the story of Aelin or Selena at the start. So it's one big story of 8 books that just get longer the further in you get.
Is this still the same like series as? Course
No.
Okay,
so this
same
is,
writer, different series.
Yes,
Yeah,
this was
yeah.
her first series.
I see.
This was her first published series, which she started writing at 16,
Oh.
published online under the Queen of Glass title, which was originally like reworking of Cinderella.
Yeah.
Because like sort of most of her series start from the basis of like, what about this fairy tale with some little bits and tweaks and adds, and what I will say as authorship in book form. So like the way cinema has auteurs
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
You can tell a David Lynch film, you can tell a Michael Mann film, you can tell a Scorsese film,
Yeah.
that type of thing. You can tell a Sarah J. Maas book because it's going to have fairies, as in fae, as in people, actual human people, human-shaped people,
Human-sized people?
big buff,
Fucking
pointed ears,
elves.
fangs, basically elves.
Elves with vampire teeth.
Yes.
The best kind of elves.
Yeah.
Magic and fucking.
Slay!
The
Taking
fucking
that-
takes a long time to appear in this series.
Which
now.
for someone at 16 writing this, respect.
Yeah, at the restrained George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
I will say the fucking comes in clearly in the parts that she wrote after
Okay,
she
good.
was 16, because like the original version that was on like online called Queen of Glass stopped roughly where the fourth book ends. It's hard to make a direct comparison because I did skim through Queen of Glass
Yeah, yeah.
online, even though it's not on our website anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
Gave it a skim. Completely different. Like I thought it was only slightly
Yeah, like
reworked,
edited.
like edited
Yeah.
and stuff. No, completely different. There are character names I have no fucking clue who they compare to in the books, if they even exist in the books as the books exist now. The ending's completely different. She marries someone else. It's weird because I would never have paired them together and where the books go type thing. So clearly all the fucking comes in the books that happen after that, which she wrote after she got picked up by
Yeah,
Bloomsbury. Which I kind of feel weird now knowing that Bloomsbury also publishes Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up I picked up Harry Potter secondhand recently because I want to be an informed hater, putting that up front.
Well, we want to stress right now, we do not support
No.
anything to do with Joanne
Fuck
fucking
Joanne.
Rowling.
My heart sank so much when I seen Bloomsbury on those covers, man.
You didn't know?
I didn't know. And I'm like, man, that's the same fucking publisher.
And
So
like
now
you
I
want to
feel-
support our, writers.
I like Sarah J. Maas's stuff. I want to keep supporting her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, but
I'm
it's the
supporting-
publisher of
yeah.
Joanne.
Yeah, a cut of that is going to the publisher, and that
Yeah.
publisher is more than likely going to spend that on.
On more versions.
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism, but
No.
like, do your best
We
to
try.
try.
Yeah.
So clearly all the stuff like that happens after that. But it's such a strange series because it's so good. It's also someone's first series.
You can tell growing pains.
Yeah, especially having read ACOTAR. It's clear that has so much improvement from where she started with Throne of Glass. Because one thing is that ACOTAR, the first book, the actual A Court of Thorns and Roses book, and Throne of Glass, the first book of Throne of Glass. Why? Why are the names of the series just the first names of the fucking books?
Get over it.
They're like 400-page novels, and then like once you get further into the series, the page count goes up.
Yeah.
That's fine in ACOTAR, where it feels like A Court of Thorns and Roses was written as this 400-page book with a somewhat open ending, where if it didn't continue getting published, if there was nothing else after it, it was somewhat conclusive enough to be like, yeah, that's fine. Throne of Glass, it feels like they split the first book in half, because Throne of Glass and Court of Midnight are kind of just the same book.
Oh.
In that everything happens after the first couple of chapters of Throne of Glass in the one place with the same 5 characters, with a 6th introduced in Crown of Midnight. But again, the plot isn't like buff enough to really feel like you're reading a different book. And so it's really weird because I understand why you would want to do for an published author not publish an 800-page book for their first thing, especially when like Heir of Fire wouldn't be that long either, and it would take you until the last book to reach that page count again.
Yeah.
So I get it. On the other hand, it makes Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight a little bit not fun to read.
Yeah, because it's a book.
Yeah.
It's a book.
You're kind of spending Throne of Glass going, I don't know where this is going. I don't really see the point. There's not enough world building because we're stuck in this castle. But you're also building this mystery that I then can't see where you're wanting this to go. And then Crown of Midnight just spends the exact same amount of time doing the exact same fucking thing. Except she can go into the city around the castle.
Wow!
Like, that's it. That's the expansion that Crown of Midnight does to Throne of Glass. There's no extra world. It starts in the south of the country that it takes place in, but then she like finishes that hit or murder or whatever because she's an assassin. This first book is her competing in a competition to become the king's champion, which means she just gets to assassinate people for the king who killed her family.
Oh,
what a sweet gig.
love that, yeah.
She's only doing it so that after the 3 years of the contract, she wins her freedom and can go and do whatever.
Yeah.
Second book, she's won that competition. She's now the king's champion, so she can go and do those hits. Lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Turns out she's not doing those hits. She's just faking those people's deaths because she doesn't want to kill for the king.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Fair.
So she brings like
Here, take this ketchup.
She brings back like mangled heads and is like, that's them, don't worry about it, there's their signet ring type thing.
Where'd she get the heads?
Sick bays, sick houses and stuff like that.
Can I borrow these?
Pretty much.
I'll bring them back, don't worry.
Yeah.
I just need to fuck them up a little bit.
And then once she gets back to Rifthold from the first one that you see in the book, she doesn't leave because she is tasked with finding the rebels in Rifthold. So the book takes place entirely in the one city. Again. Yeah. I like this series, except the series starts at Heir of Fire, the third book. Although if you're reading it through Sarah J. Maas's preferred reading order, it's the fourth book.
Oh.
I wonder what the first one is. Can you tell us what the first one is?
The first one...
So excited to learn what the first book is.
Depending on how you read it, I read this one third, because that's Sarah J. Maas's preferred way of reading it. It's called The Assassin's Blade. It's a fucking prequel of 5 short stories that my main criticism of, other than reading it third or reading it first, doesn't work. If you read it first, you don't know any of these characters.
Yeah, the context is all fucked.
Yes, you have no context. They're 100-page short stories. You don't get a chance to know anyone.
No.
So you don't know Selena, who's the only character you're really going to be attached to, even if you've read Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight. If you read it third, you know a version of Selena that makes you hate this fucking version of Selena.
Yeah.
Which makes this a pain in the ass to read, but also you know where it's going.
Shame, yeah.
So it's necessary because I have a list of characters here from every single book and the one that they were introduced in first. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-ish characters for Throne of Glass. Granted, 2 of them don't show up very often. One of them fucks off halfway through, doesn't show up until the last book, Kingdom of Ash again, and I'm like, only because of one sentence do I know that they existed before this. I forgot they existed. Why would you do that? Anyway, Crown of Midnight has 3 new characters. So, one of the other ones died.
Oh, well, replacing.
One of the characters dies halfway through this book.
So there's only one character.
There's only one new character.
That survives the whole thing.
Yeah, then you get to Heir of Fire, and you have a bunch of new characters, but as you progress after Heir of Fire, once you get into Queen of Shadows and onwards, there's characters that show up from Assassin's Blade. Which means it becomes, after the 4th book, or before the 4th book, required reading. You can't skip it. You can just go, I'll maybe read it when I'm done.
Yeah.
How many characters?
Okay, let me check. So, in Queen of Shadows, you have Arobin Hamel, who is mentioned before, but he doesn't show up until Queen of Shadows, and he shows up first in the Assassin's Blade. You have Lysandra, who showed up in the Assassin's Blade. Then you get to Empire of Storms. You have Rolf, who only showed up in Assassin's Blade. Ansel of Briarcliff, also only showed up in Assassin's Blade. And Elias, also only showed up in the Assassin's Blade. Then you get to Tower of Dawn, and you have Irene, who only showed up in Assassin's Blade. And then you have Falcon Enner, who only showed up in the Assassin's Blade. Oh. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish characters. I may have forgotten to note one of them down. Who knows? That's 7 major characters.
Yeah, that's a lot.
One of them marries a fucking main character.
Ooh.
Huh.
I like this series a lot, but it is so fucking flawed. Because it feels like it starts at Heir of Fire. And you spend this whole time actually having Aelin have a Selena at this point, only now having a character arc. First 2 books, she doesn't have one.
She's just kind of roaming around.
She's just the same.
She's just there.
She kind of fools around with the prince called Dorian. Yeah. Great character. Then breaks it off because she's like, I can't be with the prince of this kingdom who killed my family.
Yes.
Immediately goes for his best friend, Captain of the Guard.
Wow.
And fucks him.
Okay.
In the second book. Fade to Black, because, like I said, that doesn't come up until the later books.
Yep.
Then he ships Selena off at the end of the book to a different continent because he finds out she's part Fae, has magic, and is fucking shit scared of that. Also, he's kind of xenophobic.
Oh.
So he ships her off. She spends Heir of Fire actually finally having a character arc. Meets Rowan Whitethorn, who ends up becoming her mate, her Karanum, which just means your magic can meld together. I don't get it. It's not really brought up enough. Yeah. And they get married later. So she spends most of this book introspecting and eventually comes to accept her real identity as Aelin Ashriver Galathinius.
Okay.
So that finally, a character arc. Cool. She goes back to Rifthold in the 4th book, where there's no magic. You finally get magic in the 3rd book. Then in the 4th book, we go back to the place where there's no fucking magic. Which means we spend the 4th book with no magic. Oh, we've gone backwards. And the person who
We are magicless.
The person who she fucked in the 2nd book and sent her to Wendlin now hates her guts. He had a really great character arc in the 3rd book where he's like, oh, maybe I was wrong for fearing these parts of her. Maybe I was wrong for hating these parts of her when I loved her. Because Dorian spends the whole book going, you're a dickhead. You can't choose the parts of her that you love.
Yeah.
And he realizes at the end, oh,
you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Then Dorian's girlfriend gets killed. He sort of sacrifices himself for Cole to run away because his name's Cole. His name's actually Kaol. I just pronounce it Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He runs away and joins the rebels, which is like, oh, cool. The one person who you would never expect has had the character arc of being like, no, everything that's happening is actually wrong, and I shouldn't have been helping these people from the start, and I'm going to help the rebels. Yep. Cool. He meets Aelin and Queen of Shadows and just fucking goes off on her about how it's all her fault. And I'm like, what? What do you mean it's her fault? You sent her away! And he's like, you did all this flashy shit with your magic, and now the king has captured Dorian and killed his girlfriend and captured your cousin. It's like, none of that's her fault. She wasn't here. That's all his doing, not hers. He spends the rest of the book just fucking bickering with her, and it's like, okay, we've gone backwards again. So Queen of Shadows is a good book, but it goes backwards to go forwards. Because they then like have to achieve like 3 other sub-goals before they get to the end of the book and free magic. And so it's not until the 5th book where there's actually magic again.
Okay.
5th book's great. 5th book is genuinely where, like, I think because it's not based on material from when Maas was 16, it feels like it actually like fully forms into really well-crafted storytelling.
No notes?
I do have notes, but like it's more just that like one character pisses me off a lot. It's like the first book that actually explores the continent that the story mainly takes place on. Actual fucking, you know, like it's actual fucking, except it's only Aelin and Rowan, and then anyone else who fucks throughout the rest of these 3 books, it pretty much just fades to black.
Aww.
There's like one other scene where like Manon, who's a character who's introduced in the 3rd book, who's like a witch, and she becomes like a major player in the story. Like her and Dorian have like this on and off thing during the last couple of books, and like they eventually fuck, and like you get some of it, but more often than not, everyone just gets fade to black, and then it moves on. Yeah. One of my notes for Empire Storms was just Cole isn't here. That's a good thing.
Whoa.
But he's away in another place because the 6th book is technically the 5th and a half book.
Yeah.
Because it takes place at the same time, and it's all about Cole. And it's actually good, except it kind of stumbles at the end. It spends a really good amount of time legitimately reclaiming the good version of his character, and like him going, I actually was a dickhead. I have all this self-loathing and I don't know why, and I should confront that. And then he genuinely, so and Queen of Shadows, he like, his spine is completely shattered, and Rowan can only do so much to heal him with magic, and so he needs actual healers. Yeah. And so he's sent to the southern continent to get healed up. And so it's most of the book is him like healing and making small progress, and then eventually he can walk again. And then they confront like the antagonist of this book, and his spine gets shattered again, and all this legitimately earned healing is thrown away for a moment.
Ooh,
as in a big grandstanding moment of magic where Irene, who is the person who's been healing him this whole book, who he falls in love with, who eventually marries, to save him intertwines their 2 lives, so that because he was going to die, and so the trade-off is for him to keep living, their lives need to be linked, which means as her magic depletes, his ability to walk starts to go away. Okay. So he still has to walk around with a cane or a chair, but he can now walk if her magic's at full. Yeah. I don't like that because it feels like throwing away a lot of really legitimately earned things for a moment of like, she's gonna save him. What's she gonna do to save him? And all these healers from the place that they're at like combine their power, and I'm like, I don't like that. No. Just sort of throws it all away. Because you could have done the book without that, because like the actual big thing is like saving a princess of this continent so that continent's people send their army to help Aurelia, the main continent, and fight the big bad of the story. And it's like, we didn't need this part in the middle here of the ending, because it just sort of fucks everything up. And then I guess I don't really have much to say about like the last book. The last book's like the ending. It's fun, it's fine, it's good, it's desperate, and it's tense. Okay, I do have something to say about the last book.
Okay, there you go.
End of Empire Storms. Aelin gets captured by Maeve, who's Queen of the Fae. Actually, it turns out she's Queen of the Valg. Blah blah blah. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. She captures her, tortures her for like months. She's locked in an iron coffin because magic can't do stuff with iron. Don't know why. Locked in an iron box. Like has iron like gloves, face mask. What's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? The Man in the Iron Mask?
Man in the Iron Mask.
Yeah.
I also think just to like I think I picked up the whole iron negating magic thing. That might be a mythology thing.
Oh, okay.
Like I think possibly Celtic mythology.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Where like it was iron, then it became silver, or like the two just sort of like, which is where we get the idea of like silver bullets and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
I think.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, shoot me.
With a silver bullet.
So this happens, and like it's a third of the book, maybe a quarter of the book, to rescue her. And like some of it you see her, or quite a chunk of it, you see her perspective of it, and like she's being legitimately psychologically tortured at the same time as physically tortured. It mentally breaks her, and I'm like, that's an insane thing to do in the last book.
Yes.
To just completely upend your main character. She spends the rest of the book not being the same person. She kind of reclaims it as it transitions into the second part of it, because every book's split into like 2 parts. Yeah. as she gets to the second part, she sort of reclaimed her personality. But I don't like this. I don't like that one decision, because I think it just... You don't have enough in an already stacked book of 1,000 pages to really pick apart how much that affects that character.
Yeah.
That's an insane thing to do right at the end of the story.
That feels like the pickup of another set of set of stories that just didn't happen.
Yeah, like if that happened, say at the end of Heir of Fire, like that could have been a legitimately interesting thing of like, oh, she's just reclaimed her identity as Aelin. Oh well, now let's fuck her up and see how she deals with that.
Yeah,
that could have
that
been
would have been
interesting.
How does this new identity like hit with this new the breaking down of the old character? That would have been very interesting.
Yeah, because then you've got like 3 books to work that out.
Yeah,
and to pick it apart and deal with it.
Actually develop it.
Whereas here it's like everything's so pitched towards getting to the end that any of the like introspection that's done for Aelin during those chapters is like, it feels distracting from the main plot, and like because she's so fucked up, it feels like you're just running in circles too, because she's just sort of going over the same things again and again. It's like, this is real, I'm here, this is real, I'm here, this is happening, this is real, I'm not still caged up, I'm not still chained in iron, I'm not still being tortured, this isn't a vision that Maeve's given me. And it's like, this is a 1,000-page book and she's rescued at page 300.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a lot of pages
yeah.
of... I'm not going to call it nothing, because without it, it would probably feel unearned to have at least some of her personality reclaimed. But at the same time,
Yeah.
there's some genuinely really great moments. There's parts of the book that actually legitimately got me welled up because they're really emotional and well crafted. But it's, like I think every book has like one part of it that I'm like,
Yeah. If only.
Fucking
if
why?
only,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's where you can kind of tell that like ACOTAR is the second series that she worked on, and she had all of those skills and could apply all of them to that, because it's writing is a thing like any craft where the more you do it, the better you're gonna get.
Yeah.
And like her storytelling skills have vastly improved between the two of them. I still really like Throne of Glass. I would read it again someday. Like I would read ACOTAR again.
Just give it a while.
Just a while, yeah. And I still had the same sort of like, I read these books at a pretty good pace. Like I didn't feel like they were a challenge or that hard to read. I read all of them in 2.5 months. It took me like 4 weeks to read The Assassin's Blade, but that's besides the point. It's just it's flawed.
Yeah.
I'm glad I read it. I enjoyed it. I like all these characters. I think the world's really interesting. I think I think it ends on a really high note. It's just yeah. I wanted to say a lot more about like the good parts of the book, but I feel like we're already far enough into this that I don't really think it's worth just going through all of that again. I have a lot of notes, mainly because, as I mentioned when we were talking about this earlier, where like you feel kind of like self-conscious to talk about stuff. I can talk about movies and video games to the fucking sun sets and comes up and sets again. When it comes to books, I immediately feel terrified to discuss them because I don't know why. I just feel incapable of actually properly conveying anything that I think about a book, and I don't know why. So I wrote these notes and I still don't feel like it was good enough, but I feel like I went over my criticisms of it.
I felt coherent on my end.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell you still enjoyed it and liked it, but it's fine to point out the things you wish were better or different in something you like.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's been this episode of Anime Lane.
Woo.
Unless anyone's got anything else they want to bring up.
All good?
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, we'll see you guys next week with whatever
the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.